Hello, I'm MC Toon. Today on episode number 1 of Flurf Spotlight, we'll be looking at Flat Earth Paradise. Devin from Flat Earth Paradise and a bunch of his friends are planning to enter a magical portal in the North Pole next year. That's right, a subgroup of flat earthers think there's a super secret magical wonderland waiting for them at the North Pole. Since it's the Christmas season and this dude wants to go hang with Santa, I thought we'd compare some of his stuff to a similar story about traveling from the North Pole, the 2003 movie starring Will Ferrell, Elf. Devin from Flat Earth Paradise thinks he is Hermes. Yeah, really. He claims he's the incarnation of the Greek god Hermes.
I am Hermes, messenger of the gods, also known as Mercury or Thoth.
I am Hermes. I am Hermes.
Soy Hermes.
I am Hermes, messenger of the gods.
I am Hermes.
Of course he's not Hermes. He's either severely delusional or lying. But he is seriously trying to convince people that all his stories are real. I think psychologists could write a dozen papers on this guy. Similarly, in Elf, Buddy thinks he's an elf until he's told he's a human. Unlike Devin, he accepts this truth. Not only does he think he's Hermes, but he follows a disturbing trend common in the Flat Earth community. They like to drink their own urine. Devin is no exception.
Hi there. I'm currently drinking my own urine. I know. It seems strange, right? That I would pee into a glass and consume my own bodily fluids.
He goes on to rattle off a list of supposed benefits of drinking your own urine. Are any of these backed by research? Of course not. Google it. There's plenty of crazies with empty claims, but no actual studies. He also suggests you should drink other bodily fluids, which I won't get into here, but there's an unlisted video I discovered with details. There's a link to that gem in the description. Hey, look at that. He's using a fancy tumbler for his pee-pee drink. He must have a sophisticated palate. Looks like he prefers his whiz neat. I'd think on the rocks would be a better choice. What if he were to mix his wee with rum and coconut milk? He could enjoy a pina colada. That gives me an idea. All these flat earthers are drinking this stuff straight. They would probably appreciate some creative options for how to mix it. How about we make a bunch of cocktail recipes? We can compile them into a book. What better Christmas gift for your conspiracy-prone relative? I'll create a comment that says Whiz Cocktail Recipes. If you have any ideas, add it to that thread. Being that he is a flat earther, I'm sure he's going to have some awesome proofs for why the earth is flat.
Every photo and video given to us by NASA is completely faked and riddled with CGI.
What computer from 1975 generated those graphics? And what is the methodology to determine that the other ones are fake? Your opinion? Empty claims? They're going to get ignored.
We now have satellite phones.
No, we don't. We have cell phones. Some people have satellite phones, but nobody confuses them for cell phones.
Now we can have perfect service anywhere because the signals are being beamed from outer space. How convenient, right? Wrong. Satellites do not exist. Most of us notice as soon as we're out of the city and in more remote areas, our satellite cell service starts to decline in intensity. It's almost as if our phones are getting their signals from ground technology that is conglomerated in heavily populated areas.
Yeah, that's correct. Does he think his viewers are so stupid they don't know that cell phones aren't satellite phones? Shows his opinion of his viewers. Or maybe he's that dumb. Nobody using a satellite phone would confuse it for a cell phone.
Here we see a supposed video feed of Earth. Where are all the satellites? Along with 2,271 satellites orbiting the Earth, there are 500,000 fragments of space junk. And we're supposed to believe that in all of the feeds they give us, we are constantly, conveniently witnessing portions of the Earth without any of these man-made obstructions?
The global elite claim there are 1.4 billion cars in the world. That's 3 million times as many cars as satellites. I don't believe cars exist. See, there's no cars here. Where are the cars? Lies, I say. Obviously there are no cars, and they never existed. Roads were built to support the global hoax that cars exist to enslave humanity. See how ridiculous your claim is?
Lighter than air vehicles, high altitude airships, and high-altitude platforms are often misperceived as satellites by the public. So at nighttime, when you see one of those moving dots in the sky and believe it to be a satellite, it's actually one of these illuminated balloons.
This is a blatant lie. If these were balloons or high-altitude planes, they would need to be traveling thousands of miles an hour. An unpowered balloon or low-power electric plane could never move that fast. There is no reasonable flat Earth explanation for satellites.
The North Star remains perfectly fixed in place night after night, year after year.
The North Star is not perfectly fixed in place. It's slightly off-center, just like the rest of the stars. In his own video, he shows this. Look at this arc near the center of the image. That's the North Star. It's not perfectly centered. It's just slightly off-center. There are other worse attempts at explaining the flat Earth stuff. I'll save you from these. They're mostly dismissed if you have access to Google. A poor attempt at showing the flat Earth. He gets a D-. For a channel that has the flat Earth as a foundational requirement, you'd expect a better effort. Once we've gotten past the awful flat Earth explanations, it takes a hard turn into crazy land.
Directly underneath the North Star Polaris sits the vortex hole into the other side of our flat plane, into the land of perpetual twilight. This is where we find Agartha, Hyperborea, the Garden of Eden. Through this opening is paradise, where war and suffering does not happen. Many of the videos on my channel are dedicated to proving this exists.
He really truly wants people to believe there's a portal at the North Pole. But I've watched his other videos. They never once come close to proving anything. He's been quite lazy here. A Google image search for the North Pole shows a bunch of pictures. Do you want to visit? No need to do any mystical ceremony. Just buy a ticket. If you're more adventurous, there's an annual marathon at the North Pole. Seriously, dude, Google is free. Anyone can use it. Most of his other videos are a mix of science fiction, ancient religions, and doomsday cult stories, all with zero supporting evidence. If you can keep watching his stuff, you'll hear about different realms of existence, magical energy, toroidal zero points, every mythology ever, and doomsday predictions all mixed up into one huge soup sandwich of lies.
DNA is not just here to express genes, which express components of our physical and mental health. DNA literally creates wormholes between different areas in time-space and between parallel timelines existing within that time-space. The way in which we funnel information from parallel timelines is through the wormholes created by activating specific portions of our DNA. Our DNA is the great multidimensional connector.
Wow, so DNA makes wormholes. Who knew? He also goes on about aliens and reptilians and holographic playgrounds.
So we can remain energetic food for the Archons and the Reptilians. The Reptilians who rule this plane, though, Queen Elizabeth, for instance, is said to have been incarnating here for 7,000 years.
Look, dude, leave the Queen alone. There are no reptilians.
We lived in a wonderful holographic playground beforehand, during the golden age of Saturn, and were probably able to transcend dimensions at will, communicate telepathically, and revel in all of the divine knowledge and wisdom of our higher selves. The quote, breaking of Saturn and subsequent deluge signifies the time when the holographic projector was somehow tampered with. The archonic reptilian virus started to plague this hologram, and what used to be a great matrix was now a confining one. The moon was put up in the sky and became intertwined with Saturn in the Saturn-Moon matrix.
Now that that is all crystal clear, we can move on to this exodus. Devin and his friends have a game plan for this exodus.
The first wave of this journey is projected to occur in 2019. Myself and a few others will continue to make videos, and in the first quarter of 2018, we will follow our compasses, journey to Mount Meru, and film the entire process. Once this footage is released of the North Pole vortex, my blood brethren throughout the world will prepare for the first wave in 2019.
Devin and friends tried to get a trip funded through an Indiegogo campaign called the S.E.A.L Project. The goal was to raise $100,000 and charter a plane, fly to the North Pole, and find this mythical hidden continent. It was scheduled to go this last July 2018. They raised about $4,000, then canceled the project with no explanation. Apparently, the donors weren't refunded either. Devin, you could just book a ticket on polarcruises.com. It would be so much easier. While you're there, you could even run in the marathon. I bet since you're Hermes, you'd win. Since the expedition to map out the route didn't go to plan, maybe I could help. In the movie Elf, Buddy tells us how he got from the North Pole to New York. He passed through the 7 levels of the candy cane forest, through the sea of swirly, twirly gumdrops, and then he walked through the Lincoln Tunnel. So just reverse Buddy's directions. Start at the Lincoln Tunnel, head for the sea of swirly, twirly gumdrops, pass through the 7 levels of the candy cane forest, and boom, you're at the North Pole. Simple. Will Devin and friends be going through a portal at the North Pole next year? Of course not. I know for certain this will not happen. How do I know? Well, I'm a time traveler. That's right. I'm a time traveler from the past. In the past, we've had many similar claims. Harold Camping predicted the world would end in 2011. The Heaven's Gate cult thought a spaceship was hiding behind the Hale-Bopp comet. They wanted to hitch a ride. This didn't turn out well for 39 members. Amazingly, their website is still up at heavensgate.com. Planet X, or Nibiru, was supposed to pass by the Earth, destroying everything. People thought the world would end in 2012 because of the Mayan calendar. The list goes on. They never come true. There's even a Wikipedia page called List of Dates Predicted for Apocalyptic Events. Someone should update this with the 2019 Exodus to Hyperborea. Since they will not be entering the magic portal at the North Pole, what will happen to the people predicting this event? Devin and his friends will need to move the goalpost, choose a different date a couple years ahead, say the nameless, faceless they prevented it. Who knows what their excuse will be? I'm sure they'll come up with something. If you're watching this right now and thinking, hey, MC Toon, you're a jerk, I believe Devin. We're totally going to Hyperborea in 2019. Well, if you're so sure, I'll create a comment that says, people that think they're going through the North Pole hole in 2019. Just write me on that thread. If something happens and you do actually enter Hyperborea, I'll create a video personally apologizing to everyone on the list. If, on the other hand, January 2020 rolls around and you're not gone, I'll make a video pointing this out. Deal? If you watch any of Devin's videos, you'll notice he talks a lot about blood over intent. This is where you write some statement on paper and bleed on it. If you do, you get a ticket to ride the magical Polar Express. Well, it's crap. I think it's actually a test to see who's gullible. If you disagree with me, go ahead and add your name to that comment thread. Instead of blood over intent, I'm going to offer an alternative. I call it smudge over indent. Anyone can join. Here's what you do. You write up something that you'll be doing, like mocking flat earthers. Be sure to indent each paragraph. You should also use the font Comic Sans because it's magical. Then, get something that smudges, like used motor oil, and smudge it over the indent on the paragraphs. Simple. What will this do for you? Same as blood over intent. Nothing. That's all you need to know about Devin from Flat Earth Paradise. I will revisit him in January 2020 to see what his excuse is for not going to the North Pole. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great Christmas with your family and friends. If you're looking for a fun channel to watch, check out The Creaky Blinder. He's really funny.